Okay, so Oppressive Descent is a Portland, Oregon area black metal band that's been around since 2008. It's a solo project, and it comes from a guy who was in a band. I think their name was Pagan God or Panzer God. Um, and that band had been around from some form between the early 2000s until more recently, where this band has sort of taken over his focus in general, and that means in the last 3 years, he's put out three records. This is the third one, full length records. There have been several EPs as well. And the first one was very different. It came out in 2016. It was a little bit more of a more depressive and atmospheric feeling sort of thing, but not exactly a full subgenre lean. And Spite is My Scepter, Blood is My Crown is it's not, so it is raw black metal in some sense, in the modern sense, where that doesn't really have to mean anything but a sort of fizzled out, high distortion guitar tone. And the actual music itself has a chivalric quality to it, a sort of um, highly melodic, not quite epic sort of feeling to it. And I've seen it most commonly compared to Lamp of Murmur, probably just because geography and similar artwork in some sense. But I think I saw Autarcy as a comparison, which kind of makes sense. It's a very different thing, very different structure musically. This is a little bit more uh, LLN in some respects in terms of how it develops a melody in a very simple way with a rhythm guitar. But anyway, this record is probably the most accomplished one to date. It's the one that incorporates more leads, a little bit more of the feeling of the second album, Alchemy and War, and I think that's a good thing. I think it really makes for a very accessible form of black metal music that is still raw and interesting. I make some comparisons to very early talk records, Take, however you would pronounce that, and a few other things. It's not exactly Judas Iscariot or whatnot, but um, it is a good, catchy, and memorable record. Some of the leads are a little bit cheesy. Some of the riffs don't connect perfectly, but most of it's pretty solid, and all of it sort of has a purpose and a place. None of the songs feel entirely just tacked on or halfway thought, so most of it's pretty well considered. Um, I don't know that it has room in my collection as a real big standout, just because I have quite a lot of black metal records. But this is a good one, and I think it's worth the pickup. So I gave it a pretty high recommendation because I think kind of like that Vampiriska, or however you pronounce that band's name. There's a strong melodic content to the music that helps it stand out from kind of the usual, almost like just plainly aesthetic black metal that we get a lot these days. So I think it's worth checking out. See what you think.